right, here we are on another episode of Talks with the Bear. Sitting with George Bonvillian of Elifin Realty, great friend of mine. Been wanting to talk to him for a while, and just get to figure out what he's doing at Elifin and a little bit about him. So, George, tell us what your role is at Elifin and where are we today?
Absolutely. So I head up our office sales and leasing division at Elifin Realty. We're about 4 years old as a commercial brokerage, and we all specialize in different property types. So, for example, today we're at a beautiful development at Highland. It's got building 1 here. We're on the 3rd floor, 17,000 square feet of office space ready to be built out, glass, steel, all around, incredible windows. And so that's kind of my day to day is living in the office world, whether it's investment sales, leasing offices, could be anything office related.
Yeah, you actually got us our office, which is awesome.
That's correct.
On Blue Bonnet.
Absolutely.
As we grow, well, maybe this is our next space. We'll do a tour later. But yeah, anybody looking for offices in town, George is the best guy to go to about it. And so we wanted to highlight what he's doing at Elifin, and in our series, just get to know about people in Baton Rouge. So how'd you get started at Elifin and in commercial real estate?
So I would say it was a bit of a winding road to get to commercial real estate. So as I call it, in a former life, I was a sports agent in Manhattan.
Okay.
So at some point at the age of about 13 or 14, I just got bit by some movie or something that said, you need to move to New York when you grow up.
Obviously.
And I knew I wanted to do something in sports, didn't know exactly what it was. But as I grew up, it became pretty apparent that all my skills and everything I wanted to try to help people with, that was going to be sports agency.
Okay.
So moved up after I finished law school at LSU. And actually the way I got my job there, very competitive field, I was able to, after calling just about every sports agency in the world for 2 years, the way I landed the job was I just walked into a building, told security that I had an interview, did not have an interview. And she was so distracted by my Louisiana license and last name that she said, okay, sounds great. Let me call up to them. And I said, all right, well, I'm done here. You know, the gig's up. It's all over. She calls up and they said, yes, send them on up. So I said, all right, not really sure what's happening, but let's go with it. So I get up there. They say, okay, have a seat. Let me go see if he's here. And I'm sitting there not knowing exactly what's about to happen. And some guy comes out who I knew through another person. And he says, yeah, why don't you come on back? So we get in his office. He kind of movie-like kicks his feet up and says, so who are you? And just went into my elevator pitch. And he said, well, your timing's great. We're looking for someone in the next couple weeks. And I was going to be moving up there anyway in the next week. So that was just a very serendipitous happening there. How I got into commercial real estate was after about 2 years in sports agency, doing, kind of everything once, twice, 3 times, realized that was not going to be the next 40 years of my life. So
Right.
started looking at what's next, was actually in the same fraternity as Matthew Laborde, our broker's older brother, and but never knew Matthew. And so everyone kept saying, hey, if you want to go into real estate, you should meet with Matthew. You should meet with Matthew. He's really doing a lot of great things in Baton Rouge. So when I was looking to come back to Louisiana, met with Matthew, and at this point, the rest is history. So I've been at the company for about 3 years now, heading up our office sales and leasing division, and growing very quickly, and getting to work with some really great and beautiful spaces like we're in today.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's really a phenomenal story in terms of just like I guess the hustle to sort of say, hey, this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna go after it. I mean, you kind of have that mentality here with sales and what we've talked about.
Absolutely.
And so is that kind of like your, I guess, is that kind of like your brand? And how does that, I mean, maybe talk about how does that brand fit into what Elephant's brand is here?
So I would describe Elefin's brand as extremely customer centric, and people that we're a lean team, we're a mean team, but we're built out in a way to most serve the client. So we're built a little bit differently than other agencies. So we have less agents, but a lot more support staff. So there's basically as we refer to it, a suit of armor around all of our agents, whether it's our research coordinator, marketing director, Chase Weatherly, really anyone in the company that exists to try to help us be better commercial real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes right into the brand of each and every person in the agency, because with a marketing director, you're able to put out content, you're able to really mold and shape your individual brand. So what you said earlier is absolutely right. We're all go-getters. We're all younger. I think oldest person at the company is 34, so definitely skews younger than a lot of other firms in the area and in the country. And we just really try to take technology, take what's happening on the forefront of real estate and business, and bring it to Baton Rouge, bring it to Louisiana, and bring it to our clients.
Well, that's great that you said that. I mean, we kind of deal with the same thing, that we're a young company, probably about the same age range, and we try to do the same thing. And a lot of times we think about what does our ideal client look like and what service are we doing. And I mean, I know in commercial real estate, obviously anybody who calls and says, we're going to take service from anybody. I know one thing that Todd Graves talks about with Raising Cane's is, well, anybody obviously who wants chicken, they'll sell it, but they have a particular customer, and their customer is dads of the family. Is there a customer, is there a person that is ideal for what Elifin is doing to sort of ease that process for them?
Right. So for us, it's very different when you've got our retail specialist, Will Chadwick, multifamily specialist, Mark Segala, and myself, who heads up our office division. We all really have a different ideal client. So we refer to it as an avatar. So in some of our commercial coaching and things like that, you set up that avatar exactly as you're talking about. So for me in particular, it's either regional or area directors of companies, or local companies, it's the CEO. Usually they're in between 35 to 60, and they're that head decision maker of that company's office decisions, their business decisions. So that would be kind of my avatar, is whoever the local or regional decision maker is. Whereas for someone in multifamily investment, that might be someone that's in California, in New Jersey. It can really come from anywhere there. So it is good, though, like you said, to have that avatar, have that target that you're going after, so you can kind of streamline what you're doing in business.
And what problem for that person, I guess, would you say, are you particularly solving? What problem did you see with commercial real estate that you think that you and the team at Elifin, but you particularly with the office space, what are you solving? What are you handling to make that solution happen?
So a lot of it really is very simple. It's returning phone calls, returning emails, updating clients, and giving clients a leg up, especially, if you're representing a landlord and you're representing a building like this one, you do things like having podcasts in the building. Right. It's really just trying to think outside of the box instead of just the typical put up a sign, put it online, and hope the phone rings. So the problem that we're solving is, on this side of things, exposure through social media, through things like this with podcasts, and then also on an individual client level, it's just really understanding what that individual wants. Do you want monthly updates? Do you want to hear from me every week? Do you want to just hear from me when the checks are in the mail? It's really different for everyone, but we just try to really cater to each individual person as we've been able to grow our business.
Right. And I think it's important. I mean, George, I can tell anyone out there who's looking for a space, if you are a business owner who doesn't have a lot of time, George is your guy, because my schedule is super hectic. We're running a growing business, and everything that I asked of you, you did. Everything was on time, was great, and you kept me honest to it. So that was great in solving my issue for the process.
Thank you.
In terms of your process and how you work through it, I know Matt is obviously a big mentor from a boss perspective, a coach perspective at the company. But is there anybody else, if that's industry, if that's the community, or anything that is a mentor of yours that you look up to? You actually helped my old mentor get in an office, a great office near downtown, Dr. Ron Malone at AST. Is there anybody in the community that you really kind of lean to try to emulate?
So you're right that our broker Matthew, so he is only 2 birthday today, actually. Happy birthday,
Matt. All right.
Won't say the number,
Yeah.
but we are very close.
25.
We are exactly. We are very close in age. So it's been really good to have someone who you enjoy working with, but someone who's also been in an industry for 10 years. So
Right.
he is on the forefront of technology. He's on the forefront of real estate happenings, but we can also talk as peers as well. We also do commercial real estate coaching. So our coach is Rod Santamassimo, the Massimo Group, and we all do professional, personalized coaching throughout the year. And really in the community in Baton Rouge and Louisiana, there's no shortage of different mentors from different walks of life. Whether it's people that own clothing businesses, people like you who are younger CEOs striking out on their own. There's really no shortage of people to take inspiration from and kind of take notes of what they're doing to get to where they're going.
Yeah. Well, and in terms of mentioning that for the community, is there, I know that this is sort of a passion of mine. And this is a passion project. What I'm doing here is introducing Baton Rouge to the rest of Baton Rouge and
Right.
our talent and what we're doing and the awesome things that are happening here. Like this wonderful building. This is the state of the art, great modern space. Like shout out to our guys behind the camera at I Wander who does some amazing stuff with video and photography. You guys, what are you doing in the community that you feel is a passion of yours, whether that be a special interest or just some projects you worked with outside of Elifin or with Elifin? I know you are, posting pictures regularly about meetings you're attending and things you're doing, and just speak to that a little bit about what makes you passionate in Baton Rouge about Baton Rouge.
So I feel as if Baton Rouge currently is a microcosm of both the state, the country, and potentially in some ways even globally. So we have so many incredible resources here, whether that's actual natural resources, oil and gas, resources from people like us who are out there in business trying to make the community a better place. And really the biggest thing with real estate is you have the ability to personally set the tone of what an area may be, or even change certain narratives that may have been going for 20 or 30 years. So that's kind of the most hands-on way that I think about it, is when someone calls in and says, I'd like to have an office, but I definitely don't want it to be here. Instead of just saying, okay, great, maybe dig in a little to see why they don't want to be there. And maybe they're basing something off of a complete misconception. Because as one of my mentors, Professor Chris Tyson, CEO of Bill Baton Rouge, and he was my professor in law school. The way that he puts it is Baton Rouge really is one city, and you might not always know it based on where you are. So something I'm really passionate about is getting the community to a point where they realize that we really all are on one team here. Right. And we're not, competing against each other so much, that we have just so much natural resource here and so many great people that if we can bring it all together and get on the same page, however that looks, then I think the community can just really take off even from where we are now.
And that's phenomenal because, it's really something that I don't even have kids, and one thing I'm passionate about is the school system in Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. A lot of the ideas that we've had with different politics and the way the city has kind of discussed that, it's great to see people who are discussing that in a Unitarian point of view, that we're all in this together. That's the message we try to preach, and we surround ourselves like you guys, but we also want to surround ourselves around people who maybe have that different mindset, so we can bring them into the fold and be a united Baton Rouge. Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic message. One thing I would ask in terms of, you said just kind of your hustle. We've talked about your story, and I'm a business owner, and you are high up at Elifin Realty and have sort of made that into sort of a passion for you. Is there any advice you have for anyone? And I love to do this. I love to give coaching advice to anyone who asks me. And I get a lot of you out there who ask me about it. And it's not to say that I'm a great business owner or CEO or anything, but we can say that I am. That's fine. Is there anything that you would say to somebody out there who maybe is in, like you said, this was your dream to be a sports agent, and you said, well, I don't think this is really what I want to do for forever. And you found something that you love, and you just went for it. Is there something to tell someone out there who's maybe in a job that they don't think is their forever job, that, what would be advice to kind of make that happen for them?
So I think this advice applies to whether it's your dating life, your professional life, whatever it may be. And it's simply, you're not going to be any worse off after getting told no than you were before you asked the question. So whether it's asking that person out on a date, or it's going after a different job, or starting your own company like you did and taking that leap, it can really be liberating to understand that you are who you are on the inside, and no one telling you anything actually changes what your passions are, what your skills are. So even if you get told no once, twice, like I said, and going into sports agency, I quite literally, over 2 years, called every single sports agency in the country, and sometimes globally, sometimes twice a week. So it takes beating down those doors, but it also takes getting through that hurdle internally of being okay with being rejected.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of going from what we've talked about, what we love in business, let's shift a little bit. What are your passions outside of Elifin Realty?
So being, like I said, a sports guy,
Right.
my entire life. So born and raised, LSU fan, born and raised
Right.
Saints fan, and also a major, major, major basketball fan.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I root for our Pelicans, also fan of the greats like our guy LeBron James, as we've
Right.
talked about before. We could talk for hours. I don't think we have enough film to do that.
We'll get into it.
But
Don't worry.
We'll get into it. Maybe second time around. But staying active in the community, basketball, playoffs just finished up. We got football season going on. So just really staying engaged in that world that I was in professionally, because it might not be a surprise, but those same athletes that I was working with, they also need investments. They also would like to get into real estate. So there's really a lot of synergy between my passions and between what's actually going on in business right now. So.
I love that. So on the short, not to throw anybody under the bus, who is your best athlete you ever got to work with? Do you have a story?
So this is very surprising to a lot of people, especially, well, he's on the Saints now, but it was always very surprising before. Jameis Winston.
Okay.
So Florida State alum, national champion there, won the Heisman. Went on to Tampa Bay, had a stint there, and he, in my entire time in the sports industry, was the favorite person I ever got to work with.
Really?
Because he was the most genuine, down-to-earth, nice person I had ever met in that world. Whether it was remembering my name the first time I met him when we were at Super Bowl in Houston a few years back, whether it's we're at an event at the Super Bowl and he knocks something over and turns around and picks it up himself and apologizes. It's just the little things like that you don't always get from those high profile athletes. So certainly no shortage of people that I loved working with, but I just always love kind of waving the Jameis banner, because especially, with him being in Tampa Bay in the NFC South, and not necessarily being everyone's favorite athlete, but now he's on the Saints. Everyone loves him. It's all good in Louisiana here with Jameis, but he's definitely the best guy I was able to work with.
You heard it here first from George. New quarterback for 30 years of the Saints, Jameis Winston, might be better than Drew Brees, and that's what we're going with.
Flaming hot take for the
flaming hot take. Just drop it, dunk it, slam it like Michael. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, like Michael. Okay, so great. So and then you have a passion, I know, and that we can see this from the camera. We can compare the two here. Dressing and wardrobe, and Absolutely. You've got a square going, a lapel pin.
Absolutely.
Is that considered a passion of yours as well?
It definitely is. And I think it really goes a lot to first impressions. It goes a lot to self-confidence. And to me, when you're putting on a suit, whether it's tie, no tie, whatever it may be, to me, it kind of feels, I referenced the suit of armor when talking about our staff, but to me, this is my business suit of armor.
I
So
like that.
I just know that there's no room I can't walk in. There's no time I'll be underdressed. If I leave here and go anywhere, I'm prepared. And, Jeff Bezos walks in, pitches me a new real estate idea, and he needs space in Baton Rouge. I'm prepared to have that conversation. So it's just always about staying ready and looking the part.
Well, you definitely looked the part, and we've talked about this before. I've dealt with some other real estate agents in town, and you always look like the best person in the room for the answer. Like, I'm going to go to the person that looks the cleanest and the sharpest. I'm not going to go to the guy who looks disheveled and didn't shave and, shave like this is shaved, a good beard, a nice beard. You know what I mean? Anyway, whatever. So,
All true.
All true.
All true.
Exactly. So, last passion project for you. I know you love plants. Explain this to me, because there's probably someone out there. I hate plants, and no offense to you and plants, but there's probably someone out there with a rare plant, and George is, if you need to sell it, George is your person, whatever. Just tell us about the plant world and your life of just growing things.
Absolutely. So I was
Legal
originally
things.
Right. I was originally, I would call it, an outside landscape guy. So just growing up in Louisiana, I was the guy that would say, "Hey, mom and dad, can I re-landscape our yard?" And they would say, "Sure.
Okay.
You can do that if you want." And it's just something that I'm really passionate about. Kind of goes into some design things. And after I started living in apartments, I had to kind of shift gears a little bit to indoor plants. So at this moment in my apartment, there are probably in between 40 and 45 plants of varying sizes. You've got the large monstera, you got a couple birds of paradise, and then you've also got, the nice succulents, tabletop things. So I'm still the guy that if you need your yard re-landscaped for a very small, perhaps free, I'm your guy. But on the indoor side of things, it's great because it goes right into the office world.
Okay.
Because with people being so health conscious, more aware of air quality, that really does make a huge difference. And it's scientifically proven that seeing wildlife, having improved air quality, it helps your productivity because you're not in a cube farm. And that's why at our office, the plants that I have there, they're all bunched together in the middle of the room, kind of creating a little bit of an oasis, and people can see that, and it's scientifically proven. I will follow up with the sources on that later.
Okay.
But scientifically proven that seeing those plants helps your productivity.
So you didn't know you were getting a health lesson today. Scientifically proven. I might need to call you. Number one, I need some landscaping done.
Understood.
So you can visualize that and design that. Number two, my wife is into succulents now, apparently.
Okay. Who isn't?
Bought a bunch of them. I don't know if they'll survive or not. She has kept some from her wedding bouquet alive for 4 years. They're pretty interesting looking. They don't look like any succulents I've ever seen, but they're alive. So we might get you to help with some pruning and stuff. But
those are the easiest ones to take care of.
All right.
Unless you're really messing up, you're not going to kill those. So you're on the right track. It's a perfect starter package.
They're probably pretty close, but we're working on it.
We'll get them back.
We're getting better. All right, so let's do a little more fun games, and these will be for people who want to watch the whole video. Which is everyone.
Right.
We're gonna do two things. First, we're gonna do better or worse. Okay. So he's not been prepped for these questions. Hard-hitting questions. Is LeBron better or worse than Michael Jordan?
He's better. And it's and you can cut me off at any time. There's a delineation in this conversation that not everyone wants to have.
Okay, I'm listening.
Is he the greatest player of all time? Is he the greatest scorer of all time? You can get very nuanced with it. A lot of people point to championships. A lot of people point to statistics. To me, I always take a step back and say that I was not an adult in Michael Jordan's prime.
It's true. We were children.
When they were on their second three-peat, I was, I think, 8 years old at Disney World. Little to no awareness of what's happening. You know,
Right.
I'm more worried about Space Mountain, MJ's on TV, winning a championship. And now LeBron has been in the league my entire adult life. So I almost feel like I've grown up with LeBron. And he's 36 now. I'm coming up on 30. And I just feel much more of a connection. And he's so connected with social causes. And he's just a great guy, Adam. He's a great guy.
Just
family man.
You've got me bought in. Taco Tuesdays.
Taco Tuesday. Every
Ronnie
Tuesday.
Jr., you know.
Ronnie Jr. He's a family man, married his high school sweetheart, and leaves it out on the floor every night.
So just to be clear, we're not trying to say anything negatively about Michael if he's watching this.
Sure.
We don't want to be on Michael's list, as everyone knows from watching the documentary.
Nope.
But LeBron better. So another answer you're going to be super passionate about. Creed is better or worse than Nickelback?
Pass.
Pass. You're not a Human Clay fan?
They're equal.
You don't like Weathered?
They're both.
It's a good
They're both
Creed
incredible.
album. Scott Stapp.
They're both incredible.
Okay.
Pass.
Both incredible.
It's a draw.
Better guitarist. That's not the question. That's not the format of the question. Is Jimi Hendrix better or worse than Eddie Van Halen?
I'm gonna go with Hendrix on that.
Mm.
Better.
Okay. Okay. Better.
From,
All right.
From what I understand, from what
From-
the
from what we get.
from what the historians
R.I.P.
tell
to
me,
both, by the way.
from what the historians tell me, and I actually
Historians.
historians. I was in Georgia last week. Drove up 10-hour drive. There's some podcasts to be listened to on that
Okay.
10-hour drive.
Okay.
One of those was about Jimi Hendrix, all the ways he changed the art of guitar.
All
The
right.
things he was doing, no one else could do. And to this day, there are still things that he was doing with that instrument that no one understood or understands and can replicate. So
Okay. I could buy that.
I'm not the
Eddie's-
most educated on the subject.
Eddie's got that vibe. I like it, but I can see what you're saying.
Right.
All right, and last one. It's going to be a little bit more local here. Is Torchy's Tacos better or worse than Government Taco?
So I can see the angry mob coalescing outside as I
Mhm.
begin to answer this.
There's a correct answer here.
I've never been to either, Adam. I've never been to either.
That's not the correct answer.
So I'm gonna say, all respect to the pitchforks that are
Okay.
waiting outside,
Okay.
that I will try both of those this weekend.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you can try Government Taco right now, but shout
Well-
out to our man Jay Ducote.
Absolutely.
Brick and mortar coming up. And my opinion of this guy, I don't know if Government Taco is better. Okay. I'm just going to say it. I just say it. I said it. It's fine.
Yeah.
All the Texas people, I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. All right. And then lastly, we're going to try your game that you love. Is it underrated, properly rated, or overrated?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. We'll start with a fairly easy one. Is Zion Williamson properly rated, overrated, or underrated?
Right now, October 28th? Today's the
Mhm.
28th. October
Sure.
28th, 2020.
It's the 30th.
October 30th.
October 30th.
October 30th, 2020, year of our Lord. Right now, Zion Williamson is properly rated. Lofty expectations.
Okay.
He's got one season under his belt. The time that he was able to be on the floor looked great. We just don't know what the full sample size is yet.
Okay.
So for now, I'm not going to make him overrated. We're going to keep him at properly rated until further notice.
Okay. All right. Is taking the perfect nap underrated, properly rated, or overrated? And you can tell me what your perfect nap is.
I was about to say, what do you
Are
think
you
is
like
the
a
perfect
are
nap?
you like a 4-hour napper? Are you like a 30-minute person? Like today, it's a beautiful Friday in Baton Rouge, but maybe if you had a big lunch, you kind of wanted to. Maybe you had a sirloin for some reason for lunch.
Right.
and you're like, I want to get going again.
Right. So
Can you take a short nap?
for me at this point in life, I'm a no nap guy.
Ooh.
On weekdays.
Okay.
Because I would just rather get everything I need to get done and then just go to sleep as
Okay.
opposed to taking a nap. Because once you get in there, it's hard to get out.
That's right.
That's where I turned into, like you said, the 4-hour guy who wakes up with the what year is it,
Right.
the what year is it hair, and so I just keep naps off the table for now.
Is it here? I love it. All right. So because I don't know your kind of taste on this, I'm gonna twist the game a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, what is the most underrated TV show today?
That is currently airing or off air.
Something that you're just all time, really. That's something that you're watching, you've watched before, doesn't get enough cred.
So a show that I think is the greatest show in the history of television, and even good enough to get into the movie realm, and changed my life, and I relate to a lot, is Mad Men.
Okay.
I have seen that show, and honestly, that show probably had a lot to do with propelling me to get to New York, because who doesn't want to be Don Draper until things start,
right,
downhill
obviously.
there. No spoilers, but I have been through Mad Men
Coke commercial
approximately 8 times, all 7 seasons.
Nice.
So at this point, I'm fully invested. I know the characters, I relate to them, and it's the most in-depth show of being able to relate to different characters and really feel their pain and their joy. So I think that all the accolades it's gotten, I still think underrated.
Okay. All right. Still underrated.
Still underrated. For those
accolades.
Looking, it's now off Netflix. However, it is on IMDb TV for free. You should take a look.
There you go. Spokesperson for him. Last one. It'll be sports related.
Okay.
Is TJ Finley underrated, overrated, or properly rated? Last week played phenomenal. This week we have Auburn coming up. It's a little bit of a prediction kind of thing I'm trying to get from you here, but kind of sort of. We've got some Auburn friends.
Right.
They won't watch this, but I may send a clip to them. And what do you think?
So he's got everything you'd want in a pro-style quarterback.
He does.
6'4", 230, 240 pounds, and he's still a child. He's a man-child, but he's still a child. He's a freshman. And with that in mind, I think right now he's actually slightly underrated.
Okay.
If not properly rated. But I will say this week, going into Auburn gives me a little bit of Brandon Harris flashbacks. Going into Auburn, it was his, I believe, second start or maybe even first total start.
It was first total start.
Makes me a little nervous. However, we're not going against the Auburns that we were going against 6-7 years ago. A little bit different now. I have full confidence that Finley's going to go in there and do what needs to be done.
I like that.
Yep.
So that's a dub for the Tigers. Did I do that right? Yeah, that right there. That's what we're talking about. You throw up the L. We both went to LSU.
Oh, I didn't know if you.
Yeah,
I thought we
we're
were
throwing
doing W for.
Well, W
for the L.
For the L. Yeah, W for the L.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I've had fun.
Absolutely.
We've got to know about you a little bit and got to know what makes you tick and everything about Elifin. So, in the link to this and all of the clips, this will be on our YouTube channel, and we're going to put that in the description of the YouTube channel. And as you guys know, we'll chop this up and put this all on our social. We'll have the link to Elifin, and if you need an office space or if you need to upgrade your office space, this is your dude right here. All right, and we're happy that you came on the podcast with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Another
Great
Talks
time.
with the Bear. Till next time.